What's up, everyone? Today we are going to go over all of my Kickstarter backing from July through the end of the year for 2018. So strap in, this is going to be a pretty long video. I've got a lot of things to talk about, but we're going to go over a couple main things. I'm going to talk about why I backed the project, what I was really excited about in the project, a little bit about it if I've gotten the reward already, because a few of them have already shipped. And the final thing I wanted to talk about was what tier level I picked, so that you could also see if you were interested in that same level. And I've got my laptop set up in front of me, so we'll go through each of them, and then I am going to put the pictures that I'm looking at up on the screen so that you can see them as well. So if you want to see the Kickstarter projects that I backed from January through the end of June 2018, you can click up in the corner. I have that video linked as well. So the first one we are going to look at is The Binding of Isaac 4 Souls. This one I now already have a review in the works. I received it before Christmas. I took it with me on my Christmas vacation. I was really excited about this one, mainly because I love The Binding of Isaac, the video game. I played it on Xbox 360, Xbox One, PC. I was super into it, and when I heard that it was coming out into a card game made by the original creator, I was super excited for that. I backed it at the $35 pledge, which was called the Gold Box pledge. That came with the built-in expansion and a couple of extra goodies, but I got it mostly for the expansion so that I could get all of the cards that were part of the game. They had a ton of stretch goals. We hit pretty much every stretch goal, considering this game made buku bucks. It did very, very well. So everyone got a ton of content, but I wanted to make sure I got all of the characters, all of the items, everything like that. So I backed it at that full $35 gold box one. The things that I was super excited for in this one was number one, being made by the creator meant that it's probably going to have the same theme and same feel of The Binding of Isaac, and I can comment that it really does. The game does feel like a very well executed version of a video game in a card game format, which is not really easy to do, but I think they knocked it out of the park. I'm really excited for everyone to get this game and definitely see that video games can translate into board games well if they are done with the labor of love that they take and not a cash grab. So we'll see if any of the Dark Souls games and things like that are able to recover from the fiasco that was the original Dark Souls game, but we'll see. So next up was one that I was not sure if I was going to back, and actually backed at the last minute and then left that backing and then came back to it, which was Cthulhu Death May Die by Simon. I was not super happy with how the campaign was being run. I kind of feel like Simon is treating these campaigns like pre-orders, and the reason I say that is because a lot of other companies have stepped up their game to have a lot of community involvement. And while Simon does have some community involvement, their game seems, all of their games, I mean, that they're releasing on Kickstarter these days, kind of feel like everything is pre-planned, and no matter if they made $1 or $10 million, you're going to get the exact same product. And while I don't think that that's exactly a bad thing, because Cthulhu Death May Die will come out in stores for $100 or whatever it is, and you're getting way more content on the Kickstarter one. You're getting triple the game almost. I still feel like I want to back games on Kickstarter that wouldn't be made without my help, and I think that this game or any of the Zombicide incarnations and things like that are going to get made whether I'm there or not. So what I ended up backing was that I love the Cthulhu mythos stuff. This looks like a mixture between the Deadly Sins game that Simon had released previously. I'm not 100% sure what the name of it is. I don't own it. But it looks like the mechanics of that game mixed with some story-driven content of like Mansions of Madness, another Cthulhu-style game from Fantasy Flight. So I really love Mansions of Madness. I really, really love it. I had a hard time getting into Eldritch Horror. I think that game is much more complex and not necessarily gives you a lot more game in that complexity. So I'm thinking that this Cthulhu Death May Die might be that mixture of what I'm looking for of the adventure version of Eldritch Horror, which we get with that Seven Sins game, with the storyline of Mansions of Madness, which that game does that perfectly, but sometimes feels like if you don't play the game exactly how it wants you to, you're going to lose every single time. So I'm hoping that this game does not do that. So we have some pictures of the game coming up, and it's looks like a dungeon crawl modular board, and the minis on this one seem like the minis might not actually be needed, and I am beginning to question that now that I own so many minis. Do all these games need minis? Well, we'll see that in the future. And I backed at there was only one pledge level. There was another pledge. There was 15 pledge levels, but they all included the giant miniature. I did not get the giant Mega Cthulhu. Instead, I got the regular base pledge, which I think was $120, and then I also bought the $50 Season 2 expansion. I did not buy the Goat in the Woods expansion or whatever it was called. I got the Season 2 expansion because I wanted the gameplay content. I want the stories. I want all that type of thing. And the fact that it comes with like 6 new stories in there, that was the big motivating factor of that. Next up was Vanguard of War. I think it's by Archon Studios. This was a 1.5 edition with an expansion, and the expansion was the zombies, which is like the Plants vs. Zombies style tower defense. Why did I back this? I adore tower defense. I think tower defense is awesome. I love it in the computer world, and I really want to try it in their version of it, because it seems like everyone that has played this game seems to really, really like it. So I'm interested in finding out for myself how much I like it. I did not play the original, so because of that, I went into Next Wave 2, which is the Vanguard of War base game, all the stretch goals and stuff that come from this campaign, plus the new zombies, the zombie campaign, or not campaign, but the zombie expansion box as well. So basically it's 2 boxes, $99. Then I got a couple extra bosses, or like boss monsters, which is Darkness. I got that one. I really love the models. Really, this has just to do with the models. I got the Darkness, I got Tomb, and I got Judgment. And it's 100% based on the models, and they look like really fun to paint. I don't know how any of them play, so I was just basing it on the look of those characters and if I wanted them or not. Next up, we have Call to Adventure. What grabbed me on this is the Name of the Wind expansion. Name of the Wind is a fantasy series from Patrick Rothfuss. Call to Adventure is spending your like lore and luck tokens and all these kind of things to try to build this adventure for your character. And sometimes you can pick the good thing or the bad thing, but it might not be black and white. It might be really, really gray, and taking, the top path might actually lead you to death and despair. Taking the evil path might make you like the new king, and then you're able to do good. It's all these different branching paths that you're choosing cards and playing, and because you chose B on card 1, you can now choose A on card 10. But if you didn't, then you wouldn't be able to. You would have had to take the bad choice, and then you get attacked by wolves or whatever. And the Call to Adventure, Name of the Wind expansion, that is like the cream of the crop. I was so excited that was announced. I went in for the $55 King Killer one to make sure that I had all of that content, and then now they've announced that they are actually going to be making a Brandon Sanderson chronicling the tale of A Way of Kings, which is a really epic fantasy 10-book series. They just finished book 3 and it's coming along great. I'm in love with this series. So this has already picked 2 of my favorite fantasies, stayed away from Tolkienism, and went after 2 very, very good, very incomplete series, might I add. So I'm very excited for that. Next up, we have Limbo Eternal War. Limbo makes miniatures, so they made a miniature game. This basically is how Night Models made the Harry Potter adventure game. That's kind of what this is. Not in mechanics, not in any of that kind of stuff. But what I mean is that they are a miniature company that decided to make a board game to be able to play these miniatures on. And I got the core game box during the time of the Kickstarter. I got the core game box, which comes with a ton of content and these giant, absolutely gorgeous models. That is the reason to back this game, is for the models. We're just hoping that the game turns out to be good. I can tell you that, like, we all want, the people that back this game are backing it because they want to paint these models, they want to own them, they want to display them, they want to show them. But there is an all-in pack is what I got, so that added, a big cost to this one. And it's, again, because more absolutely beautiful models. And I'm really, really hoping that this game is great, because if we have something gorgeous to look at and really fun to play, that's win-win. That's everything that we wanted. I also got the Eternius, I don't know how to say it, statuette. It's a 75mm model, so we're looking at something maybe about yay big. And I'm really, really excited about that one, because this is going to be one of the first statuettes that I've ever painted. I don't have any models. I have a couple models now that are huge, but I don't have any that are in that scale. 75mm scale is not just bigger. It's every single detail on that model is slightly bigger. Next up is Terrors of London. This is a card game from Colossal Games. You're going to see a couple more Colossal games in here. I am really smitten with them. They are my company of 2018 after they made Western Legends, and I found that game to be absolutely excellent. I really loved it. I was behind them 100% until they do something wrong. I've now got Imperius, and I've already recorded my review for Imperius. That will be up soon. This is Terrors of London, and I went in on this one, the Victorian Noble level. They've got it down to a pretty good science now. Colossal Games, which this is Colossal Micro. This is their small games line. Colossal Micro is offering 2 pledge levels. Base game, expansions. So I got the expansions at $39. I figure if the base game's $25, this one's $39. A couple dollars shipping. Why not? I mean, if I'm already in for a penny, be in for a pound, I guess, as they say. So this comes with a base game plus some more cards. And just look at the artwork on these cards. They look gorgeous. I watched a couple videos of playthroughs and explanation of the rules, and the game looks like it's going to be a really, really fun game. I think it's going to be pretty unique. Next up is another Colossal game. This one came right after, which is Mezzo. Now, Mezzo launched, and I was in on day 1, and then the community sort of turned on it all of a sudden and said, we don't like what you're doing. Here's all the problems that I see. Please do something about it. And Colossal said, okay. They pulled down the Kickstarter page, waited about a week, re-uploaded it with all of the changes, had 3 different levels, had the base game level, had base game with all expansions, and then had a cardboard standee level so that you could get it for much cheaper. They also added some optional buys to help boost the amount of funding that they made so that we could unlock more items in the game. I went in for the top tier level. I wanted all of the gods. This is basically a replacement for Rising Sun or Blood Rage from CMON. It's not exactly the same, just like those two games are not exactly the same to each other. This is a different game than those, but it is an area control game where you're using gods to be able to do different abilities. You're able to use shamans to do certain abilities and soldiers to do certain abilities. So like those games where depending on who is in what space, your power grows or weakens, that's the same thing that's going on in this one. And I found that I really like area control, but I don't have that many games that are in area control. I missed Blood Rage and I missed Rising Sun. So this is my chance to get in on a Kickstarter that does those types of games. Next up is I think this is the last Colossal game on here. There might be a surprise, who knows? This is All Manner of Evil. All Manner of Evil is another Cthulhu-themed game. I'm sort of getting tired of Cthulhu. I said earlier I love Cthulhu. I do. I really do like it. But I'm getting a little tired of it. I wish these companies would realize that just because something is available without paying for it, because it's now in Creative Commons, doesn't mean you have to use it in Creative Commons. You could have just made generic monsters, and I think this would have funded exactly the same. But what I was really excited about in this game was how excited the owner of Colossal Games, who is the creator of this game. So Colossal helps publish a lot of games for a lot of people. They don't make every game themselves. This game is made by the owner of Colossal. So everything that he was saying, I was eating up. I know I'm sounding a little fanboyish, I know, but we'll see throughout the year. I keep saying next year, but it's already 2019. We'll see throughout the year how Colossal performs, because Western Legends and Imperius, I'm really happy with those. So now as the rest of these games come through, we'll see if I continue to be happy. But this one is pretty awesome. It's a 6-player card game that is just absolutely gorgeous in its art style, and I think it is really, really unique as well. And I think that that's what Colossal is nailing each and every time, is that they are very, very, very unique. And I'm very excited for this game to come. The next one was Welcome To, and I fought with myself about this one because I could just buy it on Amazon right now. But number one, it's $10 cheaper to buy it on Kickstarter than it is to buy it on Amazon. Number two, there's some stretch goals that I really wanted that is like laminated pieces. So I went in for the $25 starter home. That gets me the base game and the stretch goals, and it was free shipping. So, I mean, I have Amazon Prime, so it would have been free shipping anyway, but there you go. This game is well loved by a lot of reviewers. They seem to absolutely love it. I don't own a roll and write game except for Yahtzee. I think Yahtzee is one of the few games that both gamers and people who don't play games at all still love. I mean, like when you think of Sorry or Monopoly or a lot of those games, people absolutely hate them and then they get all high and mighty about it. But I think that Yahtzee is one of the few that people are like, yeah, I love Yahtzee. It's so much fun because it has that mixture of strategy and luck. It has that mixture of being really easy to play, but can be a very in-depth game if you get into it. I also then bought the Doomsday Thematic Neighborhood set, which is basically like the Fallout one. So that's a couple extra city plans, a couple extra sheets to do the roll and write on, and then I'll laminate a few of them, put them in the box, and that way I always have them and I never have to buy them again. Next up is one of the best run Kickstarters this year, because it was a pre-order exclusively. So unlike a lot of the other ones where I complain about it being a pre-order, I think this game was just a pre-order, and that's what it was. And I was kind of okay with that because they didn't there was no illusion of me unlocking things. There was no illusion of me participating. They were like, hey, if you back this game, you get it next month. And it's this price, and that's it. That's the end. This is how many we have. Do you want it? And I said, yeah, I want it. I want it. I've been wanting it for a long time, and now that you're going to upgrade it and make it prettier and give me miniatures that are awesome and I can paint and the monsters look cool, yes, I want Claustrophobia 1643. Monolith is super awesome, and this game looks super awesome, and I'm really, really excited to get it this month. They said the docs should be getting this game anytime this month and then being shipped out to all of the backers. So I'm very, very excited for that. I got the only edition, the collector's edition. That was the only price. I think it was $79 plus shipping. That's the only option that they had. So I got it. It comes with a poster. That's about it. I mean, this is an easy one. Next up was one that I wasn't 100% sure on until I watched some videos online of the gameplay Beasts of War did. Reichbusters. Project Vril, I think is how you say it, from Mythic Games. I got earlier in the year Mythic Battles Pantheon 1.5. That's the only other Mythic game that I'm getting. That one is published by Monolith. I really wasn't into the other game that they were bringing out, the Solomon Kane game. Something about the way that one played seemed like it was going to be an alpha gamer's dream, and I really hate alpha gaming. I am an alpha gamer, and I feel really, really bad when I take experiences away from other people when they're playing. It makes them not want to play with me anymore. And so if there's a game that really allows for that and almost like kind of needs it to have a direction in that game, I'm going to stay away from it. So that was the problem with that one. So when Mythic brought up this one, I wanted to make sure, because they were making another co-op game, I wanted to make sure that this wasn't the same thing. And this one seems like if you want to go your own ways and be absolutely ridiculous and blow stuff up and throw grenades down the hall and murder everyone, fine, do it. If you want to be stealthy and you go around the corners quietly, cool, do it. And each player is going to have to reap those consequences. And you can talk to each other, but at the end of the day, whatever you want to do, you're going to do. Whatever I want to do, I'm going to do. And I really, really, really loved that. And once I saw that, I was in. Now, I got the Heroic Pledge for $100, which is the basic pledge. But I didn't want the All-In, because number one, the All-In had a terrain set that I wasn't interested in. And it also had this big giant miniature that was like $35. And I didn't really want that either. Second to last is from Awakened Realms. Awakened Realms, I think, is knocking it out of the park. And I was ready for anything that they were going to show me. And Tainted Grail sounds incredible. Tainted Grail was a smash hit on Kickstarter. It is the 4th most funded game of all time, I think. Might be 5th, but I think it passed Zombicide Green Horde, which was my first major Kickstarter, and I got in on this on day one. I jumped in, and then I watched it progress, because I wasn't 100% sure I was going to stay in. I wanted to make sure that I was going to like the game. I saw the miniatures, and the miniatures just look incredible. I did get Nemesis, and while there are still some problems with the minis, I feel like a lot of the board game companies are being given slack, and Awakened Realms is being ripped apart for the same thing. And while I don't think that their minis are by far the best ever, I don't think that they're terrible. And when I got Nemesis, I was happily surprised that they had upgraded their game from the Edge, which honestly they didn't look very good in that. So I was happy that that Nemesis was much better. So Tainted Grail, I'm excited for, because I think that the trajectory is up. I think with more money being in that campaign, they're just going to continue to rise up and give us more and more great stuff. I backed it at the $90 core box level, and then I bought both of the expansions, the Echoes of the Past expansion, which is kind of just a gameplay expansion and allows you to build up your characters going into the campaign. And then also the Red Death expansion, which is the end game. Basically, it's an expert level campaign that you play at the very end, and that one comes with gameplay and miniatures and all kinds of stuff like that. So really excited for that. What I didn't get though, and that is because of the miniature quality, was the miniature only expansion for all the bosses. At first I was thinking I would want that, but now that I've played Gloomhaven and I have some minis that are actual plastic minis and then some characters that are cardboard standees, I'm not that weirded out by it. So I'll decide later what I want, and it'll depend on how I feel at the moment that I'm going to finalize my pledge, whether I get that last one or not, and I'll update you later on that. The final game that I'm getting is Awkward Guess. Awkward Guess is a social deduction game that was highly praised by the Dice Tower, and I went in and saw it and saw basically everything that I wanted to see in a social deduction style party game that just seemed like they were really knocking it out of the park. It is based on a really old, I think French game. I might be wrong on what country of origin it's from, but I know it's European, and that game is available. So this is basically the American printing of that game. So I'm very excited to play this one with a group of friends. I think social deduction games are really the bee's knees. I am super into them. And I went with the $46 Well-Informed Investigator pledge. So basically the all-in. This game didn't have any add-ons. I just went and grabbed the main game with all the stuff in it. I wanted all the things. And very, very excited to play this one with friends and see how it goes. Well, that's it. That is everything that I backed in the second half of 2018. Again, you can go back in the video up at the top and see what I backed for the first half of 2018. I promise I will do a review for every game that comes out. So do not forget to like, comment, and of course subscribe so that you can find out when I get these games if I like them or not. But more importantly, please, in the comments below, let me know which games you're excited for, which games you backed, which ones you want to see me paint when I get. If you want to see any live Let's Plays, let me know. I want to make content that you want to watch, and I don't know what content you want to watch unless you give me a hint. And I answer every single comment every single time. So down in the comments below, let me know basically any of your thoughts that have to do with this. I really, really appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you all next time.